Hello, welcome to another episode of World of Oil Derivatives. I'm Greg Newman, the Chief Executive of Onyx Capital Group. And today I wanted to do something slightly different again. We're going to talk to a different department than normal at Onyx, which is our brokerage team. I'm joined with Mackenzie and Alec Davies. They're going to introduce themselves in a sec. And I think we're going to go through, what the model is, what we're doing here, how it aligns with the rest of the group, being also, market makers and research and data. And where we think things are going and how things are going right now. So Mackenzie, do you want to start off just introducing yourself, who you are for everyone?
So yeah, I'm Mackenzie. I'm a senior broker here and running the lights desk. I've been at Onyx and OCal from the very get-go with Alec.
Which was how long ago?
3.5 years now.
Yeah. And Alec?
Yeah, I'm Alec. So we started a pretty similar time. I'm a senior broker as well, leading up the fuel desk.
Cool. So why don't we start off with the immediate question that everyone kind of asks us, right? Being part of this group that provides liquidity, market makes, has the research, the data. How is it we have a brokerage, and what is the purpose of it for the collective kind of service we provide at Onyx Capital Group? Alec?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we've got the research and stuff, and we amalgamate that together. But, from more of a consultancy side in terms of like helping people hedge effectively, provide them with liquidity, give them market information which they might not have available to them. Really helps us fit into that sort of group.
The assistant side of things, right? So you've got the information, you've got the numbers, but you guys are there to assist execution. Anything really, right? That's the whole point, right? It's a kind of face-to-face role.
Exactly, yeah.
Put into Onyx. I mean, anything to add on that, Mac?
So yeah, we are the client-facing side of Onyx. So we're there at the forefront of utilizing the data, as you mentioned, the research, and sort of compiling that information, feeding it to our clients, help them through their trade cycles. We've formulate trade strategies for clients. We've done training on how to prop trade, etc. Mm-hmm. So it's more than just broking that we're providing here. It's the consultancy and also down to the execution. So yes, we have our market making arm, we have the research and data, but we're that sort of 360 loop of closing, executing the deals that clients in the market want to be executing.
Yeah. As you said, like you be trained on like prop trading and these kind of things. It's I think that's unusual. Like when you can still remember when you first came in, right? Fresh graduates, like our traders in a way. And it must have seemed a bit random to you guys as well initially, right? What are we trying to achieve here?
Yeah.
And go on.
I'd say, it was very confusing because obviously we got the role and there wasn't a company. We was in the shell office, like this office the traders just moved out of. And then we was put on a trading program, but we was told we were going to be brokers. And it was what are we actually doing here? And then over the months and then years, it's just made more sense.
And I mean, in a nutshell, that was the idea, right? So we're going to train you as if you are traders, or you need that information. You need to understand it from the client's point of view, who is the trader.
Yeah. And
that way you should be better brokers, right?
Oh, 100%. And we see that. We've a recent new hire coming from another shop, and he looked at us the other day and was like, I've never heard brokers talk like this ever. And I've been in the market 18 years, which was like, because we've not been anywhere else. And it's like my first job. Just to hear someone say that within a week, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, we are doing something different here.
Yeah, I told you. Cool. So, I mean, again, like one thing we do talk about, and we're happy to be open about it, right? Why do you have the two, and is that a conflict of interest? And it's such an obvious, easy question to answer for me, but I would say that because, we built it, we've got the structures together. We're FCA regulated, right? I mean, if they've approved it, the exchanges have approved it, and there's, all the regulation you need to have both, it's adding a collective service and value to the industry. So no one should really have a problem. But what's the common things you hear? Like, obviously this is a great platform to discuss that, right? Head on. Yeah.
I mean, I think the main issue people have with us is that, they're worried that we're going to send information over to Onyx Commodities or tell them who's on each side of all the trades and stuff. And really it's not the case. It doesn't make any sense for us to do that because...
Well, they see it as like an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Us having the client order come in and thus tell the traders that they are doing that, I guess, or...
Yeah, pretty much. But like, it makes no sense for us to do that because firstly, it damages our reputation if we do that. And we don't gain anything out of it.
Yeah, but I guess for people listening, that's the bit I want us to talk about. It's like, so what would that even do anyway? So you start off, what's the trade cycle? You go and speak to a broker, or you speak to the brokerage market in general. And most of it is Onyx numbers anyway, because that's our job on the liquidity providing. And then you guys are going, well, we can help out, you out on the client facing side, what do you want to know? What do you want to do? Let's help out. But people say, yeah, but you're just going to give that information to Onyx Commodities. Like, how are they meant to use your information? And also, do you think every other broker, I mean, we're getting that already. So you want to sell. Yeah, everyone's telling us you want to sell because you're in the market. So what is I just don't get what that is, but can you help people understand like where that's coming from and why that's...
Yeah, I completely get what you mean. But then when you look at Onyx as a whole and we talk about transparency, etc., we sell the traders' live curves, we sell the COT data, the positioning. So for me, as like when we get asked these questions surrounding, you're just going to show them all our flow or this information. Yeah, when you look at Onyx, we're a complete open book of information in the market. If you want to look at my live curve that updates every minute, there you are. So
I think it's very hard for people to understand because that's not traditionally how people are in the oil market, I guess, is the crux of it.
This is where the market's changing.
Yeah.
Which is now everything's turning more financialized, more digital, etc. We're on that curve of, well, where's this going to go? And I think maybe we're at the forefront of that.
Yeah.
But at the start, yeah, it did take a lot of persuading. There was a lot of obstacles and a lot of pushbacks. But this year, we're starting to see the turn in that, which is
well,
really
I think I mean, you've been going for 3 years, right? It's been growing at a fantastic rate, and it's obvious that some people trust you guys a hell of a lot. But undeniably, that's been a challenge. So I guess you put it down to trust, right? I mean, some of these fears you just don't like. Some people don't like things that are new. People want to assume the worst, and that's obviously your burden to bear. And how have you kind of gone about gaining that trust?
You know, consistency is massive. It's a big part of trust as well. You know, if you're consistent with your traders and you do everything they want you to do, then that builds trust. Obviously, time as well, like being able to fulfill orders over time is really important, and that builds trust as well. And then also, being open about things, but being able to help people in the market is where it comes back to like the trade ideas where, we talk about what's going on in the market, our views in the market. They might not necessarily always be right, but at least it gives another opinion on what's happening in the market.
But that's some good stuff we'll talk about. But then just sticking on the point about what their fears are. I mean, you've had to spell that, but I guess sometimes you just have to just go, okay, fine. But you'll see over time. Is that fair to say?
Yes. We've obviously had this relentless attitude of just keep working, be consistent, gain the trust, show that we're actually trying to be market experts, trying to help these guys, know the curve, etc. And once you actually get in a room with some of these guys, especially some of the bigger guys, and you actually talk face to face about what we're doing, they're a lot more open. But it's getting that door open to have these conversations.
Yeah. And you didn't even know, like, you guys sit in a separate room. There's the kind of like word, the Chinese wall, a bit of a weird name, but like that the whole point of that is a compliance and physical wall in between the traders. You don't interact with the traders, you're interacting the same way any other broker does, right?
I probably see our traders less than I do my other clients.
Which kind of makes sense. But again, the idea is like, okay, but what's the point though? But I hate being asked that question because I'm like, look, we're either trying to be a hedge fund, like Trade House, trying to make loads of money on trading and gambling, whatever, or we're trying to be a service provider. You can't be one or the other. So that was the decision I made with Omar. What are we trying to do here? And whilst we were young, enjoying the idea of being like big time traders, all that, really, we knew our skill set was in this really growing market, providing liquidity. There was a gap for it. And this is what we needed to do. So rather than think of it like, oh, we're just trying to make as much money as we can, it's like, we're trying to create value as much as we can because that will actually create an actual business. So it makes complete sense to have an advisory brokerage, which is saying, look, a lot of the stuff that we do, and how we use this new data, this new financialized concepts and all that, why don't we help you out and communicate with that to you face to face and guide you through it? If you don't want to, that's fine. I'm not trying to teach you how to suck eggs if that's how you know. But surely, guys, what's unequivocal is our market share has been going up and up and up and up in the last like 7 years, right? So we're obviously doing something right, and the market's obviously doing some kind of evolution. So it makes sense to be like, can you explain what the hell's going on? Like people have said to me a million times, oh, I read your book, I read this, I saw this on LinkedIn. Can you like teach me what you mean by the flow stuff and how that incorporates into my traders? I'm like, that's the whole point of you guys. You guys are there to add that value, which should be hugely valuable to them.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Because like you just said, the flows are becoming equally more important than just the basic fundamentals. And even sometimes when I look at some of the trade ideas I put them on or conversations I'm having with clients, I can see where maybe last 7 days, a lot of selling flows come into the market. And I can see this information from the dashboard, which some clients may not have access to. And I could give that information over to them, which they're not seeing on their end because no one else has access to that type of information.
Yeah, because you're leveraging basically Onyx's skills, which is having visibility over all the flows and positioning and trying to use that to help clients. So again, why would you help clients? That's the question. But why would you guys do that? We're trying to be a service organization. In other words, if we try and make as much money as we can, just ripping people off and whatever, what's that business worth? You're as good as you have survived and you've got the cash and then you go for a runner. If you want to create a value added over the long run as a service operation, you've got to be adding value. And if you're providing these services and these advice and good numbers, then people will want to trade with you. How do we win? More people trading with us, like wanting to use us as a service. Then we get recurring revenue. Then we're worth a lot of money as a business. And, we're not a charity, right? We're trying to build a great business here with a strong profit to earning multiples that most trading businesses wouldn't get because they're not actually in the service business, they're in the trading business. So I'm not shouting at you, it's just I get it works me up a lot because I see you guys having to deal with some of this stuff sometimes, but having said that, from where it was and where it is now, like you guys said, it's night and day, right? And it's really starting to take off. And we've noticed as well, I was just speaking to the media team, like your numbers are great on LinkedIn, right? Every time you guys post something about trade ideas, you haven't even done it that much. It's new, but people are really like consuming that content, and it obviously is adding value. And I think my hypothesis, and you let me know what you guys think, but I think it's just somewhere to hang your hat. It's just something interesting to learn. It's a good data point. If they think you guys are talking shit and they think it's just not going to happen, it's still useful. It's still someone trying to understand the market and trying to relay that to you. But I think what I'm getting at is people need to understand that we benefit by you using us as a service. So there's nothing bigger than that going on. We're not trying to do some like behind the scenes, evil genius stuff. So that can be slightly frustrating. But yeah, what are your thoughts on what I just said there?
So I think, like you said, like everyone's entitled to their opinions in the market. And what I stress to my juniors now is you need to have an opinion. It doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong, but you need an opinion and back that up with some sort of fundamental knowledge or use the data, etc. But if you haven't got an opinion in the market, then, well, I don't really want to sit in my seat just saying numbers all day.
Yeah.
I want to have these constructive conversations with people and understand it. And like when we put out these trade ideas, it isn't just they're going out there. We're actually having clients put on these trades and we're watching them talk to us where we've put out a trade idea.
That feels pretty good.
They come back, and then they execute, and then we execute the trade that we've ideated, and we sit there and they're like, oh, like,
but even if they didn't though, it's still an interesting debate and trying to help.
Yeah, it's just.
So this is because I wanted you to talk about, that sounds all great, but actually that's pretty standard in FX. That's pretty standard in stock. The stockbrokers became wealth managers basically for this exact reason. There was no point doing 3 at 4 because that was on the screen, or that was just so easy and a democratized task.
Yeah.
It was like, what's your added value? And they became wealth managers, right? So what is broking to you now then? Why is this a new thing even for the market?
Like the oil market is very, very different to like FX, equities, etc.
Yeah.
It was opaque, and it's very customizable contracts you want to trade. So everyone has their own agendas, whether it's physical, financial, etc. And I think no one's really took on the concept of having the ability to look into the markets, provide opinions, etc. Because everyone just wants to get the deals done and brophy in their pocket and walk away.
Well, it's an element of protectionism basically, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's been working for everyone. When you say, well, I'm going to add value and give basically information for free, why would you do that? Like, what do you get in return? And it's like, because this is the business model everywhere. This is not a new thing. It's only really oil who still has this, like, no, what you do is you paying people money, you don't get anything for it, but you kind of get access to the market. And that's a classic, like, protected industry concept. But obviously those walls are breaking down again and again and again. You see what I mean? So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, most definitely. Like for me in light ends, like the screen isn't really traded. Everything's done through a broker or voice broked. It's quite an old fashioned market compared to say fuel or the crude. So no matter what, you're gonna need a broker there to execute your trades. So why not have one that is a third party trading assistant at the same time?
Okay, so that's what I was getting at, right? So the traditional trade broker, which was necessary, by the way, I don't want to sound like it was some like racket. You know, as you say, you need a broker to access the market to begin with in the early days. But what happens is there's just so much trading going on. There's so much more liquidity now, especially with guys like Onyx Commodities, the liquidity providers, that it's not hard to get a number now. So what we're saying is, okay, so now it's easy to get a number and anyone can give you that number. What's the service beyond that? Basically helping you do your job better, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, we essentially, like you said, like the free information, like knowing what's going on in the market, we're basically charging the same fee to do like double or triple what other people might be doing.
Yeah.
So like, it's so much more added value to these guys because, you know, they might not even want it. Some people don't want it. They just want numbers, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. But other people really value it, and, you know, we can give as much or as little information as possible as you want.
So where it's going then in terms of the brokerage model, like I think it has to, I mean, you see it already, like other brokers everyone's trying to add more value. That wouldn't be fair to say they're not, like reports and things like that, whatever. But, you know, where do you see this going in the next 5 to 10 years? Or the broker's role in the industry? It's a tough question.
5 to 10 years. So I think it's got a long way to go before everything becomes more like financialized, screen traded, etc. Purely on the how many contracts you can actually trade and the customization you can have. You can trade org against deck or roll. It's going to be
thousands of permutations.
It's going to be very hard to go to the screen. So I think the role of the broker in the 5 years, I can't see changing too much.
The need for it?
No. Yeah, as in the need's going to always be
But the role
there.
of a broker, like what do you think people expect from their brokers in 5 to 10 years?
But it's going to have to come down to more information. Like knowledge is power. You know, the new guys in the market are always going to want this more information as they come in. Like any information is good information, and if you can get all of it.
And when you say information, like data, like thoughts about the market, like general consensus or
anything, right?
News, anything.
Like anything you can use to help you trade more effectively.
And do you see that, you know, another thing people tend to say is, the new generation think differently. And have you actually seen that?
I can say I see that. The new traders that are coming in are a lot more forthcoming, and they want to know, they want to look at the COTs, they want to see everything we have to offer. They want to trial it, put it on their test runs, etc.
But outside of us, do you see them like the generational shift in mentality?
Definitely. And you'll have guys that have sat there obviously 15, 20 years. They've done probably a very good job trading. And they probably still will do a good job, but they're stuck in a cycle of just, they know how to trade now, and they're just going to carry on doing what they
do. If it works,
whereas this new generation are very open, like where they've been brought up in the world of the internet, etc. They just want all sort of information in front of them, displayed in the easiest possible way, and then they can decipher that to trade more effectively.
I think that's a really good way to summarize it. It's a macro theme, right? It's the internet, it's social media, it's everything on your fingertips. That's how everyone is going to be. Certainly the new generation of traders coming through. So what they value essentially is, the word information's like, I don't know, it means different things to different people, but it's whatever you use to learn about the market, gauge the market, predict the market, whatever that is, you want it in the easiest possible way, like you were saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe digitization is not necessarily the numbers, it's the information increasingly.
Definitely. It's even like in the last 10 years, I think most people in the office get most of the information from Twitter or TweetDeck rather than like news articles, etc.
Right.
Because that's the quickest way that information goes out in a short snippet, and then you may see an article go out an hour later, but that's too late. It's already been tweeted. It's in your face there. So I think it's that speed as well.
That speed. Access. So I think your guys' job, like the thing that's going to get more challenging, it's like the demand for you guys to know it first, then you guys to have analyzed it and provide your commentary as soon as possible. And that, I remember when I was trading, like a big move would happen in the futures or even just in the swap market, whatever you were trading. And especially if it was quiet, you go down the broker box straight away and be like, so what's going on? And the broker's kind of be like, I don't know. And that would annoy you because you're like, you should know. And maybe that was irrational, but that's how you felt, right? Because I'm sitting here not knowing, tell me. And, that's what you can provide. And it might not be, that useful in the sense of like, look, mate, I actually don't know. But, I've spoken to my network. I'm looking at the information we have access to. And there isn't actually anything, which means it's probably, someone doing something. In other words, like you can help them go through the thought process, and that's still very useful. Like, do not underestimate how much you said, like trader assistant, how much you're just looking for comfort in these markets.
Yeah.
Like you can imagine, you got a big position on, nothing's happening, and then suddenly you're like down a lot of money, and no one said anything. You want context. You want to be helped out. Like, should I be panicking right now? Is the pipeline blown up? So I think that's going to be your challenge, like managing that demand for immediate information and analysis on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people love to be like, so why is the market moving up? And someone would send a Bloomberg article. What's the market? It's like this Bloomberg article like got into the trading world and like bought, you know what I mean? It's not how it works. It's like someone's reacting somewhere. Why? Is it sentiment? Is it a physical movement? Is it what is it? And you've got to go through that logic and help people feel comfortable about it. And that's a massive role to play.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. no, I get it. It's always just I'm saying it for the viewers, I guess. But for me, that's why I guess going back to the point was what brokerage is that like you're a therapist, you're a an assistant, you're a best friend, all these things, because you spend 12 hours a day speaking to this person.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably the people I talk to the most.
And then you go out with them in the evening sometimes, and you speak to them over the weekend, and like they are relying on you, and that won't change, because it will just get more complex, and people will just have more demand for what do you call it, like an assistant on that journey, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's I think you said actually that like trading can be quite lonely at times. You don't really have anyone around you. You've got to make the decisions, and it's a really tough thing to do. But if we can add a little bit more value by just being there all the time and give you all the information we have, like we're everything you need essentially.
You keep saying information, but I'm like, but remember, like, what if they're like, look, I'm stuck in this position, if they can be honest with you and trustworthy, or you can sense it, whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, well, look, you have been trained to how to properly think about trade risk management, really rigorous risk management concepts, which I think you probably might just take for granted. But things about stop losses, volatility adjusted things, liquidity assessments, these kind of things are like, they're useful to go and speak to someone, and you could be like, well, let's have a look at your risk, or let's talk about your risk. You don't have to give me numbers, whatever, but what are you worried about? Do you need me to look at how the volatility is changing, or some assessment of liquidity, or whatever. You have, what I'm trying to say is you have an informed, you have enough knowledge and expertise in this area to add something. Whereas you go speak to a random broker and you're like, so what's going on in the market? They don't care, right? Why would you, like, you can't feel it. And you're like, well, my job is just to give you numbers. There's no numbers to give you. So what do you want me to do? Whereas the best brokers sense, okay, you're looking for some comfort, and I'll do everything I can to make sure I'm at least helping you try and figure out what's going on, or whatever, or just try and see the icebergs and relay it back to you. You know, it's ultimately their decision, but at least it's comforting. I'm getting pretty passionate about this because it's like your point about lonely. Don't underestimate as well. Like, it's kind of forced loneliness as well, because you can't just get up on the desk and go to the whole trading floor and your trading manager, I'm really worried, guys. I don't know what's going on. Don't know what to do with my position. Like, they're like, well, why are you in that job?
Yeah.
So
it's not
like,
their issue.
That?
It's not their issue. They've got other things to work on.
Well, I more meant it doesn't reflect well on the trader.
Yeah, exactly.
So you are that outlet and that comfort outlet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The punching bag.
Yeah.
And the blanket.
I mean, yeah. I guess that's why it's very odd seeing a trading floor sometimes, and I guess a broking floor where you hear the traders. Why are they shouting at you? Like, what did you do? But I can tell you, it's just it's a punching bag.
Yeah,
it's brutal to say it, but it is just true. And sometimes you're there just to be a punching bag that doesn't judge them.
Yeah,
but I know it's fine.
It
it's
happened
not
to me
ideal.
a couple of weeks ago. That's right. It's got a flashback of voices coming out of the box.
Or what? Someone was screaming at you.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Well,
not specifics, but
just I showed a number.
It wasn't there.
It wasn't heard. Traded away.
That's a classic one as well. And again, you want to blame someone else, right?
Yeah, because you didn't hear it.
And if you go, well, I told you, and here's the number, you're like, okay, now you're just making it worse.
Just take it.
But it's also for me, because afterwards, like, it was a learning curve. It wasn't like, okay, well, maybe repeat myself. So afterwards, it is like, okay, like, maybe he's right. Like, I need to be louder. It's the window. So
that's a great way of doing it.
It's not like, take the abuse. You're like, oh no, I'll get you more numbers. It's okay, well, be louder down the box. Make sure you're repeating stuff. Make sure it's in front of them.
Yeah.
So it's more you need to learn from, they may be shouting at you for being stressed about something else or X, Y, and Z. But sometimes it could be your fault, or you could be doing something better. So you always got to look for improvement. Yeah.
Yeah. no, I think you guys are nailing it. It's like one thing you don't want to hear is like, well, what can I do differently? Like, it's like, well, why don't you think about what you can do differently whilst just like allowing me to vent? That's how you feel.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are very skilled at that. It's like, okay, I had a go the other day as well. You just got, and you just got, oh, okay, yeah. Like, if you can't think of an immediate reason why, chances are it's not specific to you. But at the same time, you can still try and make it easier, and then ultimately you just don't want to be judged. You're in a highly stressful scenario as a trader, and you are going to fly off the handle sometimes or whatever. And I guess it's not like you should condone it, but as long as it's not regular and it's just part of it, I think you guys are pretty comfortable with that, right?
Yeah, it's an adrenaline rush at the end of the day.
I love it. So you're a masochist.
I'm just sat there like,
abuse
me more.
Trying to get boxed.
Everyone in the office is silent, looking at me, and I'm like, "Come on, more."
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's not what I would kind of train in people, but I get what you're saying. What about people who are naturally more timid? Because, just like in any role, people love to say the best trader is like this, the best broker is like that. There's no rule. It's like your job is to do all these different things we've said. So what if someone's a bit more like, it's just not their style or they don't like being shouted at like that and all that? They shouldn't just have to take it, right? They just got to figure out a way to make it work for them. And what would you advise on that?
From a brokerage perspective?
Yeah, so let's say you have someone who just, it's not ideal for them to be shouted at. They don't love it. You can't just say, accept it. Like, it's not always the case. They're just going to have to figure out their way of...
I think, everyone handles situations differently.
Yeah.
But as long as you're respectful and if you've done something wrong, then take accountability for that. Say, this is me, whatever. But if you're more timid, it's more, you do need a thick skin and you can't really...
So there's no real getting around that.
There isn't. Like, you don't want to be running out crying or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like...
It's interesting you're saying. I agree with you. You need the resilience to keep coming back and not actually be really affected by it. But people love to say in financial markets, you've got to be emotionless. Now, I haven't met a single good trader who isn't emotional, just so you know, and who doesn't fly off the handle. And I haven't met a good broker who's not emotional either. In other words, if you don't give a shit, you're not going to be good at your job. So I think it's more, don't let the emotions drive you and ruin you.
I think you need controlled emotion.
Yeah.
Which, if you've nailed that, and I think, like you said, I think most of the best traders I know are very emotional, inside going out or whatever. But I think, as long as you're controlling your emotion.
But for you guys as a broker or a new person coming in being like, oh, this could be quite intense at times. It is okay to go, you said go and cry in the toilets, but what's wrong with that? That is just the way some people deal with it.
As long as you're handling it.
And as long as it doesn't become destructive and you start getting depressed, then it's not the environment for you.
Yeah.
But I don't like to judge. It's like, you can't handle what, I would only judge someone not being able to handle it if I thought their mental health was deteriorating, they couldn't perform and they were really being affected by it. That's not the same as crying, to be honest. Although, it's not ideal to do on the floor. It's like a bit of a weird scenario, but that's okay. Like, do you agree with that?
Completely agree. I've had weeks where I've wanted to put one of them rage rooms where you get a bat and just smash a load of china.
Is that my office?
I wish. No.
No, but I think actually, people that do go out and cry and go to the toilet and whatever, do what you need to do, go for a little walk and come back. It's just a way of de-stressing and resetting and going again.
Yeah.
But it is literally getting knocked down and just getting back on the horse. Well,
that relentlessness, I mean, it's hard when you communicate it to people that that's unrealistic. No one can. It's like, well, watch these guys come in it's at 6:30.
Yeah.
You come in, you get battered all day, you work all day. It gets to 6, 7, traders kind of done, and then you're out with them, and then you might have had a bad night. You might have been mugged or something when you got mugged in Lisbon, and then you back the morning, you're doing it again. But it's like the relentlessness is hard for people to gauge, but it is just something you need, right? That's fair as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, if you're not there, then you can't do anything, right?
But someone would say, but is that healthy though? Like, as in, why are you doing that? Is that okay for managers to expect?
You need a balance, but you can't be in this industry if you're not willing to put in that.
And why do you think that is?
Because markets, if you want to be up for the Singapore and then you want to work the Europe, then you've got to do them hours.
Basically, to be good at your job.
To be a good broker. You don't want to be that broker who's always off desk or, I'm working to this time today. Oh, I've got a family dinner on. I've got to leave desk when stuff's busy. Because at the end of the day, traders need us to execute.
It's a service.
And it's a service. And
it's the same for liquidity providing. That's why I keep saying we're a service business. because these guys don't have a choice. They have to show numbers. They have to take down flow at like any time they get a request for a quote down the line from the sales girls or the brokers or whatever. You just have to do it. Like it's not, if you, exactly as you said, but if you're like, not today, like I've got this family organized, I've got this thing, it's not ideal, but it's the way it is.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to be transparent about this, because it's not for everyone, one, but two, it's not for you guys for the rest of your life. It's a moment in time where if we want to be the best and you want to be the best at your job, the market won't wait for you. So it is just what it is. It's a bit like being a soldier, being like, let's stop the battle because I want to go home and get a bit of sleep and I want to see my girlfriend. It's like, no, the battle's going to go until that's just the way it is. And it's, I think some people find that contentious, but how do you feel about it?
I think more so for us, because obviously other brokerages and competition are more established.
Yeah.
Whereas for us is we've built our foundations, and now we're in this high growth stage. Whereas we need to put in the hours, we need to put in the work, because if we don't, then we're not going to build this brokerage. So even this year has been amazing, because we've quadrupled in size of the teams, and now we've actually got people under us that are bidding and doing well. Like we can see the growth there, and that's where maybe we can not step back. But it's like, oh, okay, now I can take a breather. I can take
discipline sets you free.
holiday.
I love to use that quote, because as you said, if you've done the work to build foundations, you've done the work to train people the way you want it to be done, and the work philosophy is clear, you can now trust that to go take a step back when you need to.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone should think that way, right? You're a junior, your job is to get through the ranks and get to heads of desk, start your own desk, and create the same thing for you so you can take a step back. It's not endless, but there's no getting around. It needs to be done. Yeah.
But you don't get anywhere. I mean, if you come in at 9 o'clock and leave at 5, you miss half the day.
Yeah.
So, I'm setting alarms like every hour in the night to try and get up and do a deal in Singapore.
Yeah.
Which is mental, but
and people don't really get it, right? Like people's partners, like
all of your friends are like, "What are you doing?" Like, it's mental what you do, and it's like, yeah, but you just don't understand it. You just have to do it.
Short-term sacrifices for long-term.
Yeah.
I guess that's the point, though, right? So, because the backlash is like, but it's we shouldn't have to have it, but it's a choice.
Yeah,
it's hugely enjoyable. It's in the game, but it can't be sustainable. So there has to be a pathway, and you've just mentioned it quite well.
Well, it isn't. That's why it's like sort of a young man's game as well, in that you can't be 50, 60 doing all of this.
And you do see some sad stories of that being the case. Endless divorces and bad. Basically they're trapped because they're used to earning a lot of money. But in order to earn a lot of money, you need to be doing this like unbelievably intense job.
Yeah.
And they can't not. And that's not an ideal position to be in. But that's just life planning. Like that's the way.
But that could be personal preference as well, and that you're just like addicted to the game.
Sure. There's all these different things. But I guess what I'm saying is you got to always think of some kind of plan, 2-year, 5-year, 10-year to 15-year plan.
Yeah, for sure.
At least loosely. So as you said, okay, my priority's got to be to train these guys, because I want to start I want to start prioritizing my partner who's going to become my wife and my kids. And in order to do that, I need to create these structures. But if they're not there, you won't be able to. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I've only, like I said, it's my first job, 3.5 years in. Like, I want to be grinding away for at least another 5.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think you'd ever stop really, but as in it's just, you get what we were saying. So having said all that, what are you guys excited about next in terms of, what are you delivering? What can people do to keep an eye out for you guys and what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I think, recently we've both actually produced a video on LinkedIn, and we're talking about digitalization and people constantly being on their phone and having information at their fingertips. Like, we're looking to do more podcasts, we're looking to produce more trade ideas. We've got our juniors now that are being trained and are producing some trade ideas which we're reviewing and hopefully will go out soon as well. But yeah, like all LinkedIn, information on WhatsApp and stuff, like
that's all coming
we're all
out.
going to be sending it out.
We're doing it more often basically. It's been quite successful.
More regular.
Yeah. I think what I like about what you guys do and how the stuff started, which is like too good, too bad. Right? Of course, we're going to talk about the things you've done well, but we have to address that trading is like this, right? You're definitely going to have at least 40% of the time wrong, most likely. So dealing with those losses and how you get things wrong and how you improve for the next time is really important for everyone to hear. And I think that's what you guys do really well.
Yeah, I think that's when you look at it and you see we actually put some trading strategies into our trade ideas now, and they've developed quite a lot over the last year in terms of if we are putting a contrarian trade on and it has got a decent downside risk, we're putting multiple entries in, trying to catch a turn, tight stops, like suggestions like that as well. So that when you do lose on the too good, too bad, and we're happy to admit that we don't get everything right, like nobody does. But that's when we can like save our losses essentially.
Yeah, but the funny thing is you can actually lose with a right call as well.
Yeah.
If you get your risk management badly done, right? So I guess you guys talking around why you put the trade on, how you put the trade on, and then reviewing what happened and what went wrong. That's real. That's not, I thought the market was going to go. I told you the market was going to go up. Yeah, but how did you position profit? How did you manage the market conditions? It's all like a lot to do, just from after idea formation.
Well, yeah, even on the idea formation now, we've started to put in like what would be our reasons for exits if Russian refinery turnarounds are increasing more naphtha supply into the east, etc., or if this X, Y, and Z happens. So we're
try and remove subjectivity.
Yeah. So if it's like, if this news article, like the last podcast I done or the video, it was about refinery turnarounds. And if I saw any news break that the CDUs were restarting, then I would exit the trade. And as long as we're consulting these type of things as well, not just we're long, short this for this reason, but we're actually really refining the trade ideas down to like the nitty gritty.
I love that, because it's like it's been put on for a certain amount for these reasons. Therefore, we need to monitor these things as the position is live.
Yeah.
And then be true to that original hypothesis. That's quite rare as well, because people will buy because they'll say, the CDUs are down and da 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 da. They buy and they say it goes in the money. Then everything just becomes whatever they want. Yeah, I thought about, I think I'm going to buy a bit more because this, and like, then it goes against them. Like they start going through the stages of loss. Like, but like, it'll come back and da da da. Like you saying like, okay, well, we're monitoring this live, and actually this CDU that we were referencing is coming back online. This is going to change sentiment. This is going to change how the physical traders are positioning. You have to be true to that. Otherwise, what was the point of coming up with the idea in the first place? If the idea was just a gamble and then it's come in and then you've just made it like a discretionary thing, that's not really trading. You see what I mean? So the profoundness of what you're saying, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think you do see it as it's going to keep running or it'll bounce back. Whereas it's very maybe easy for us to say because we're not actually putting on these trades, we're just suggesting them. But I think you need to stick to your strategy or your game plan. But that's the point.
You're not telling them what it is, and you're just saying, oh, by the way, this is what we came up with, and by the way, these things have now changed.
Yeah.
Do what you want, right? That's not, but that's fair.
Yeah.
But actually, that's an interesting one because, again, I think you'd have to build a very strong, solid personal professional relationship with a trader to be able to do this. But when you do notice they're going through, and if you expect you're going to know them intimately well, right, by having these kind of like relationships over 12 hours a day and all that, if they are going through these kind of classic biases, I don't know how I would feel as a trader if a broker was like, Greg, can I just say, you know how you can act like this sometimes? It's usually indicative of you like bargaining and like, actually, I don't know, this could be hurting you. That's a very difficult line to tread. But having said that, that's what you do with your partner, right? That's what you do with your business colleague. Like me and Omar, right? Half the game the whole time is disagreeing and being like, but you haven't thought about this, and this is what you do. You do this and you do that. And actually, do you remember last time? This, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just need someone who knows you best, who's got your best interests at heart, genuinely, to tell you. Very difficult thing to trade, but I would say that's a kind of meta kind of service you can kind of think about.
Yeah, but that's where you get like really good conversations coming out from traders and stuff. When I send trade ideas over to some of the guys who are very well established in the market, and I'm like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? And they say, well, you've actually not factored in, X, Y, Z for this reason. It's like, okay, that's quite interesting. Maybe I need to consider that in the actual trade idea, and it might not be the best trade idea to put on or to reflect the actual my view in the market. So that's when people start coming in, and that's when you actually bounce ideas off each other. And to be able to bounce ideas off traders is great for us, and they also get information which they might not have considered in their trade ideas as well. It might not be the actual trade idea they want to put on, but
you can gain their trust by having these two things. I think it's like the most fascinating job in a way. Like I was always trader to broker, and now looking at it from the other side, it's just fascinating because of how complex the people you're dealing with, right? With people, human beings, and the stresses they have and the emotions they go through. And it is a really, like, it's a really interesting job, broking. I would like recommend it for anyone who was super ambitious, but also was a people person, and like, you have to have a lot of empathy, right?
Yeah,
There's
for sure.
no getting around that. If you're not that person, maybe you should be a trader. But you know, like, you know, it's I think you guys don't get enough credit, and brokers in general don't get enough credit for how much they take and how much they have to like really think about the trader journey and assist that. And the best brokers do that in a way without the traders even realizing, and then before you know it, the traders formed a bond with you guys that's very hard to break. And I think that's why it's very difficult to have a monopoly over any kind of set of clients, because everyone's got their relationships that have taken a long time to build. You don't just buy a business and just buy that superficially buy that relationship. You have to earn these things over time and over trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's the most important thing is trust, which, yeah, is time you need.
Yeah. So plenty of exciting stuff ahead for you guys. I know you're always very busy, so thanks for taking the time, of course. And for viewers out there, traders or anyone, these guys are, as you say, client facing. They're always wanting to talk, wanting to hear from you guys. So please reach out to them. And they're all over LinkedIn, like they were just saying. And I hope you enjoy that slightly different podcast. It's definitely a very different feel to that than others. So thanks for your time.
Lovely. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having us on.
And see you guys next week for back to kind of market summaries and all that. Thanks again.